This stream is sponsored by IGK TAS, telemetry analysis system powered by IGK. Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML F1. We are here for round 8 of the championship of season 6 as we've taken the French Grand Prix from the circuit Paul Ricard. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you to the stream as always on a Sunday evening, and joining me in the comment box it is Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Good evening, James. Good evening to everyone that is watching. Really looking forward tonight. Paul Ricard, not really known in real life for producing the most fantastic races. I find on the game always tends to provide good action. And, of course, we've got our second sprint race of the season tonight.
Yeah, second sprint race of the season, of course. If anybody is going to be following on the TAS system, there's only going to be the one race on the TAS system tonight, and that is the sprint race, just how the system has been designed. So we will literally follow the sprint race, and then it's probably good old-fashioned commentary for the feature race, of course. And what we have not whetted the appetite so far is we could have a champion tonight. Jensen, of course, leading the way on 177.5 points. 72 points ahead of his teammate Rudy there in second. He's on 105.5 points. Lynx in third on 87. Tom in fourth on 85.5. Fleddy in fifth on 84.5. And Connor in sixth on 83.5. Goodness me, that is a really good battle as well for third. Zerma in seventh with Funky Chicken in eighth. Luca in ninth and Boss Wanted ran off the top 10. But Luke, of course, Jensen has got a mathematical chance of winning the championship tonight, as long as, of course, he does very well in the sprint race and then translates that form, of course, into the feature race and only has to outscore Rudy.
Yeah, he can't win the championship in the sprint race. It looks likely that he will win it in the feature race unless Rudy puts in a good performance across the two races. You might remember last time we had a sprint race at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. It was Jensen battling Tom, I believe, on the final lap of the race, on the sprint race, I should say. There was contact between the two of them. Jensen dropped outside of the points for the sprint and then recovered to take the win in the feature race. We'll see how things go tonight. I think one-shot qualifying is going to be very important. Plenty of tempting runoff areas at the French Grand Prix. You don't really get punished like you do for running off the circuit at Imola. So I reckon we could see quite a few invalidations in this one-shot qualifying.
Well, there's 200 different layouts, of course, to this track as well. So there's going to be a lot of track invalidation, certainly in qualifying. Certainly, that has been the scene that we've seen, certainly in TTML F2 and F4 so far this week. But, of course, going into France as well, we could also crown Constructors Champions, I believe. McLaren leading the way on 283 points. Mercedes in second on 171.5 points. So I make that 111.5 points advantage McLaren over Mercedes. Pretty much looks like McLaren are going to wrap up the constructors, of course, going into tonight. We are about to get going, though. One-shot qualifying is about to begin. Of course, around the circuit, Paul Ricard first came here, of course, in its natural inauguration, the French Grand Prix in 2018. Lewis Hamilton, of course, took the win and then took the win again in 2019. 5.8 kilometers and then 3.6 miles. 15 turns awaiting the guys out on track. And this is quite a formidable track, I've got to be honest, in terms, of course, the curbs, which can catch drivers out.
Yeah, certainly. Curbs easily catch you out, I think, especially going through that final sector. Once your tyres are getting a bit warm, it can cause plenty of issues. Mistral chicane as well. Always see drivers sometimes sending one over the curb there. And anyone that's been watching plenty of other sim racing this weekend, anyone that was watching the virtual Le Mans 24 hours knows just how much the curbs can bite, even if you're a reigning Formula 1 world champion.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously the virtual Le Mans took place obviously over yesterday and today, and it was fantastic to watch that, of course, in sim racing. However, us commentators specialise in sim racing, apart from the real-life commentators that won that event, of course. 30 seconds, though, is the countdown. I'm not sure if it's the countdown to start the actual lobby or if it is to go on the into one-shot qualifying, of course. One-shot qualifying is going to be absolutely key. One-lap pace around this track is going to be absolutely key as well. And hopefully drivers will not invalidate their lap times. We should be seeing the likes of Jensen, of course, in his new demeanour, of course, as a Shazoo driver, replacing, of course, from IFR. He obviously joined Shazoo a couple of days ago, and Jensen will be hoping, of course, to try and back up Shazoo with their first ever championship win. One ball with the TRT man, though. Chalkers on the run on down in towards turn number 1. I'm going to get the telemetry and everything up on the right-hand side. And already an invalidation from Chalk, because that is not the way you want to start off the lap as well. Bunty, I think, is also invalidated coming through turn 1. We'll go on board then with Rudy. He's coming through turn 3 and now through the left-hander at turn 4. Jensen as well, right up there, along with Basti and Nuth and Funky Chicken. And Rudy runs very wide, coming out of turn 5 and now through turn 6. And then onto the Mistral straight at turn 7. Purple first sector from Rudy, 21.5 point up. 22.6 in fact from Black Box through the first sector. I don't know why that's showing. 21.9 though for the first sector from Rudy. He now approaches into the Mistral chicane through turns 8 and then through the right hander of turn 9 and then up towards the right hander of turn 10. Just getting caught in the curb. That curb really sent a few drivers off 2 nights ago, of course, in TTML F4. 49.2 combined time through the middle sector. Fastest middle sector of everyone though is Rudy, 27.3. It's more than 0.2 of a second up on Basti and Jensen, and everyone beginning to really try and change up positions. Zerderman now towards the front end of the field as well, as we now come through the left-hander of turn 12, and then in towards my favourite section of the track, through the right-hander of turn 13, and then in towards turn 14 at Lack, and then through turn 15 at Pont, which of course is the final corner, and I come through the right-hander. Rudy runs very, very wide indeed. It's an invalid lap time. I'm not sure if he's going to back off on the run to the line, but it looks like it's going to be pole position. Rudy out on top, 29.2, but if that was probably traditional qualifying, that lap would have been invalidated for sure.
Yeah, I think he did the sensible thing, to be honest. Backed off ever so slightly as he went through that final corner just to avoid invalidating his lap. But that is 2 pole positions in a row now for Rudy. He got pole last time out at Canada, and I saw some of the track limits he took at the Canadian Grand Prix, and it was amazing, I think is the only word I can use, how that lap there didn't get invalidated. A bit like tonight, he is on pole position. Links in second, Zoidema, Basti, Daniel, Jensen, our championship leader, only in 6th place, but we know you can overtake around this track.
Yeah, you can indeed overtake around this track. Freddy there in 7th, Black Box, Funky Chicken, and IFR Luca run off the top 10. Boss Wanted there in 11th as well. Interesting, Luca's on the set of medium compound size. Watch out for that, of course, in the race. Newton 12, Smalley, Bunty, Chalks, and Connor all invalidating their lap times. And just to actually have a look at the first, middle, and final sectors of everyone, Rudy 21.9 was 4/10 quicker than Lynx through the first sector. He was then another 2/10 quicker in the middle sector, but he really backed off that final sector, of course, running wide. 39.9 in the middle sector. Lynx was at 39.5, and that is why Rudy is only 0.2 of a second really ahead of Lynx after, of course, qualifying.
Yeah, only Funky Chicken out of those who did a lap on the set of the soft tyres set a slower final sector than Rudy, so he had it in the bag in the first 2. Superb performance from him. Lynx fastest of everyone in the final sector. That proved to be good enough to get him that front row of the grid by 7,000ths of a second. And I seem to remember last time we had a sprint race, the Mercedes were pretty good around there. I think it was Fleddy who got pole in the sprint race last time and finished in 3rd. This time it's his teammate putting in a good performance. Mercedes second in the Constructors' Championships. Need a good performance tonight, otherwise that title will go to McLaren. But they've looked okay in qualifying. We'll see how this race goes.
Yeah, definitely. So 13 laps, of course, it is one-shot qualifying and 25% in terms of the racing here tonight. And then, of course, we go into our feature race, which, of course, this brings the grid order 4. Rudy out on top, Linkson there in second, Zerderma in third. Interesting, though, looking at everyone on that set of compounded tyres, Jensen on a set of medium compounded tyres in P6. I'm not sure, actually, if it showed him. I think it showed him on a set of softs, if I'm not mistaken, did Jensen on the previous times. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of a glitch there with Jensen, but he's on just a set of medium compounded tyres. Luca there in 10th, also on a set of mediums. He qualified, of course, within that top 10. Everyone else further down the field, Boss Swanson, Newt, Smalley, Bunty, and Connor on that set of medium compounded tyres. Chalkers, of course, on that set of softs there down in 15th. But what the tendency has been so far in the races this week in F2 and F4, overcut is better than undercut.
That seems to just be a 25% strategy, to be honest, to be able to make the overcut work. How Jensen is going to play things, starting on the medium tyres, I think he'll do 6 or 7 laps on those, maybe even 8, then go on to a set of the soft tyres, as France is quite a traditionally high tyre wear circuit. But yeah, for those starting higher up the order on the more traditional soft-medium strategy that you expect to see for a 25% race, I think you're right. I think the overcut could definitely work. At least that way, you might avoid getting stuck in any traffic that is struggling. But being a sprint race shouldn't be too much of an issue as you're trying to work your way back through the traffic.
Yeah, definitely not. Hopefully people aren't going gung-ho down in towards turn 1 and obviously cause collisions with other drivers. We don't want that, of course, at all. This is the top tier of racing here in TTML, of course, F1. Rudy, though, out on top, links in second, Zerdimer in third. I'm going to come across to you, Mr. Luke Etheridge. You can take your time over this as well. Who is your top 3?
I am going to go for Jensen to take the victory because I just think that alternate strategy is going to work for him. Then I'm going to go Zoidimer, then Rudy.
Interesting. I'm going to make a top 3 predictions, and I'm going to go Lynx for the win. I'm going to go Jensen second if he can get the undercut to work. And then in third, Connor. Why not? Down in 16th, he's got a lot of pace further down the field. In that Ferrari, of course, was very inconsistent last night in LOE if you did watch that race. But Rudy out on top, links in second. The 5 red lights now coming on in the gantry for the sprint race here in France. And it's round 8 of the championship. And it is lights down away we go. And Lynx gets a very, very good start. And going to be side by side with Rudy then towards turn 1. The Mercedes and the McLaren are going to go side by side. The AlphaTauri on the inside line as well of Daniel down the inside line gets Basti. So he's into third. Everyone, I think, has cleaned through the chicane nicely. Rudy there leads the way by 3/10. Lynx in second. Daniel in third. Jensen has already lost a position. Could even lose another one to Black Box going around the outside. The FBR man on that fresh set of softs. He works it to perfection. He's through and he's into 7th. And Jensen is really struggling early on in terms of pace. Funky Chicken is now trying to go all the way around the outside of him, coming through turn 6 and then onto the Mistral straight through 7. Luke and Boss Wanted also side by side just in behind, but Rudy leads the way. Lynx in second. Daniel in third. Running down the straight though, down in towards the chicane. No, Jensen has got to try and defend a Funky Chicken, running in towards the Mistral chicane. Nuth is side by side as well with Boss Wanted. Boss Wanted goes all the way around the outside. Lovely move that by Boss Wanted. There's a spinner in the background. I think Chalkers or Smalley has been caught up in a collision. It's actually Chalkers that has spun round. Connor and Smalley also side by side, but really leading the way. Lynx in second, Daniel in third. Apart from that spin from Chalkers, very clean.
Yeah, very clean. Everyone giving drivers plenty of space. Jensen just clearly struggling on those medium tyres at this point in the race. Black Box easily sending it round the outside. And Black Box, you might remember, said last week that, you know, just getting used to how things are feeling on the week. Oh, someone's gone extremely wide there. That was Basti, who was like a long way off the circuit. Now a full-time driver in the Red Bull, but he was able to, I imagine, avoid invalidation by going that wide. It is a bit of a trick that you can do as Connor into the pits at the end of lap 1. This seems a bit early around this track to go for a set of soft tyres. I wonder if he's picked up damage.
We'll have to wait and see, of course, coming into the pit lane. I'm on board with them now in towards the pit lane. Of course, really leading the way there, Lynx in second, Daniel in third. There is no front wing damage for Connor, so he's on to a set of soft compounded tyres, and that is a very, very early pit stop. Almost like an EML Premier sort of strategy there from Connor, but he's there down in 16th, and of course he'll be trying to fly earlier on in the race by pitting in and trying to get an undercut, a massive undercut on the rest of the field. But Rudy there leading the way. Lynx in second, Daniel in third. Further down the field, Fleddy on the back of Basti. Basti's now going to be under pressure from the Mercedes in behind. The Mercedes, of course, need to get as many points as possible to try and nick McLaren's Constructors' Championship. Basti, though, gets a little bit twitchy coming through turn 7 and then through the turn 8 and 9 chicane of the Mistral straight. And now Fleddy, right on the back of him, is going to absolutely saunter on by. Basti's not got a great run out of the chicane at all, and Fleddy saunters past him as he's not even there, and Fleddy is through and he's into 5th position. That was pretty easy as Lynx attacked Rudy for the lead.
Yeah, the Mercedes starting to make some moves for the IFR Academy drivers. Fleddy very straightforward, getting ahead of Basti. Basti, that running wide on the previous lap, clearly costing him. You can see on the left-hand side, nearly over a second behind now is Fleddy on the back of Zoidimer. DRS will be activated this time, well, next time around lap 3. They'll first be able to use it down the Mistral straight. This pit straight DRS zone will activate the lap after, and you've got to be a second within the car in front. And I think Fleddy knows about that, as look at Lynx, he is all over the back of Rudy, having to go like weaving across the straight there just to try and break that slipstream. Trying to check ERS levels, both hovering around that 50% at the moment. I think Lynx has got a chance down the Mistral straight.
Yeah, Lynx has definitely got a chance down the Mistral straight. Really there in the lead. Lynx in second. But Lynx looks on it tonight. Of course, he was on it in Abu Dhabi. He took pole position there last season. And he's trying to replicate that form from that part of the season later on. Funky Chicken has picked up the first 3-second penalty of the sprint race. Rudy, though, is it going to be a sitting duck down the Mistral straight? I don't think he will be. Lynx is not going to go for the ERS here. And I think it's quite smart. He doesn't want to get him brought in for a battle early on. And he certainly doesn't want to bring Daniel and Zerdimer into play as well. Of course, the top 4 beginning to pull away from Fleddy. Jensen as well on the back of Black Box. These two have gone to war in FRL in the past around here. And Black Box, of course, getting up to speed with that new wheel that he has got. Jensen beginning to close up though, and you can see the rear tyres actually of Black Box on that sort of soft compound tyre really beginning to wear as Jensen looks to try and get the move done. This was Jorg's favourite corner in TTML F2 and dives it down the inside line. Black Box is still there on the outside line though. Jensen will stick the nose in, but Black Box saunters around the outside, and Jensen tried as he must, but he had to try to fail there, and Jensen once again tries to get the switch back through 12, doesn't get the move done, but he's still in P8 and he's luckily on the back of a DRS train still.
Yeah, still in that DRS train. Fleddy almost got within a second of Zoidema. I think he's just dropped back outside again, unfortunately for him in the Mercedes. But yeah, Jensen, just the tyres are starting to come to him now. We're probably only a lap or two away from where the medium tyres are better than the softs, and then we'll start seeing soft runners coming to the pit. So don't write out Jensen for this sprint race just yet. Never mind the feature race, because I would expect him to bump his way through the order. I'll be very surprised if he finished 8th in this one, which would be no points, of course.
It would be no points, of course, and Rudy would be taking the 10 full points at the minute as well. And in terms of the fastest lap at the minute, Zoidema has got that, so he'll be picking up the extra points, of course, for the fastest lap of the race, as Connor has just banged one in, 31.1 in terms of that. Lynx, though, I think is going to attack Rudy. He's got the slipstream down the straight. Is he just going to waze him behind? It's so predictable, I think, with these esports guys. Rudy there in the lead. Lynx in second, but Lynx doesn't want to get embroiled in that battle still. Daniel there in third, Zoidema in fourth. But I think Lynx, honestly, if Rudy was to come in this lap around, which I think he might, Lynx should have made that move there to try and get, of course, track position over your rival in front.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Lynx not going for the move suggests he's going at least one lap longer. So I can't see us getting too much over lap 5 for a set of soft tyres, even with the less wear that you'd get from a 25% race. It's not exactly, you don't wear twice as quickly as you would in a 50%. It's a bit less than that, which is why a soft medium is just such an easy strategy. And there you go, Rudy is taking the pit line there. Lynx and Daniel following him in, and Daniel has done a very sneaky overtake there on the way into the pit lane. Wipes out the pit marker, so I'm not sure others will be too happy about that, but very opportunistic. Reminds me of, I think, Sebastian Vettel did that a few years ago in Formula 1 at China, around the outside of a few cars. It's a bit cheeky, but very smart.
Yeah, pit entry will be, of course, be getting looked at, of course, by our steward. So Daniel has got ahead of Lynx there. Lynx will not feel hard done by at all by that. And now the AlphaTauri is ahead, and he's going to be in a net second position, because there is Connor just in behind. He's going to be side by side with Basti, and he's just ahead of Basti, in fact, coming down in towards turn number 1. Chalkers as well is involved in this battle. He's ahead of Black Box coming out the pit lane. Fleddy all the way down at 15th, Smalley there in 16th, of course. He's also transitioned onto that sort of soft compound tyre. Out in front, those Zoidema leads the way. Jensen in second, Funky Chicken in third. And this is going to be the big talking point, I think, now. The Alpine 2.1 seconds ahead of Jensen. Jensen does not look like he's got any pace at all so far tonight. Zoidema easing away from him without using much deployment on this lap. But now, Zoidema totally committed to come into the pit lane. More deployment that he uses, the more chance I think he's got of actually overcutting a few drivers here. As Smalley is side by side with Fleddy down the straight, and Smalley waltzes past on that fresh set of soft compound tyres. He's through and he's into 15th position. But Zoidema, one would imagine, will be coming into the pit lane this lap.
Yeah, normally if you see drivers trying to exhaust their electrical energy, it means they are on the way into the pit. So there we come, then Zoidema on his way into the pits. Jensen will stay out. Funky Chicken, of course, he will also have to stay out. So he's going very long on this first set of the soft tyres. Slightly surprised to be seeing that, because I think he is now going to start struggling. But he is still within the DRS range of Jensen. We'll see where Zoidema is going to come out relative to Rudy, Daniel, Lynx and all these drivers. He'll be hoping he can still come out ahead of Connor, but I think he's actually going to be pretty close between the Alpine and the Ferrari on the way out of the pits. So nearly out of the pit lane there. There we can go, the end of the 60km/h speed limit. You can see Lynx is going to come flying past, and in the end he's comfortably ahead of Connor. So didn't gain anything by stopping out that one extra lap. Didn't lose anything either. Be interesting to see whether the tyre delta will be enough at the end of the race to make an advantage. I don't think it will, if I'm being honest.
Lucas side by side with Funky Chicken coming down the restart straight as well. He pulled to the inside line, but he was half committed to the move. The inside gap was there for him to go, and the IFR man stays behind the relentless man. And Funky Chicken still in second position there. Luca, of course, in third. Nuth there in fourth, of course. LOE Division 2 champion. Wrapped up the win around here, of course. course, in LRE Division 2 last season on the PS platform, and he's there in 4th. Boss Once there in 5th. Bunty in 6th. They're still to come into the pit lane, as Connor has now picked up a 3-second penalty, and I think that was coming out of turn number 5, if I'm not mistaken. Rudy, though, leading the train. Daniel there, right in behind on that AlphaTauri, and Daniel has impressed me somewhat. He looked like he was struggling coming through the first 2 corners on every single lap I've seen, but Daniel looks like he's got pace, better off than the rest of the guys ahead, than Rudy as well, and Daniel's certainly within the fight for the race win, as most of the drivers, apart from Nuth, are into the pit lane, as Boss Wanted also stays out in that.
Yeah,
Connor makes a mistake.
Yeah, Connor taking that similar line to what we saw Basti take earlier on, and that, if he's got himself another warning, he could really do without that. As we check the penalties, he's on 6 seconds at the moment, and it's 3 seconds for Smalley, Funky Chicken, and Boss Wanted. I'm surprised by this pace with Daniel. He's only finished once this season, and that was last time out at Canada, where he finished in 12th position. Not really looked like he's been challenging towards the front of the field in too many races, but he's in a net 2nd position at the moment. Was very aggressive on the back of Lynx, and it looks like he's able to hold on to the back of Rudy as well. We'll have to see, though, when he's going to go for that move. I don't think it is going to be just yet, both on a very similar level of ERS, so I think Daniel might just wait that tiny bit longer. Jensen, he's come out in 9th place then, so a net 7th, back up into the points. I think he's jumped black box in all of that. That is not bad whatsoever then for Jensen. We'll see how much his soft tyres can last though, as now we've got Basti up the inside of Connor, takes 7th place.
Oh, will he? Because Connor's going to have the run coming up the exit of turn 9 and then up the hill and towards turn 10. Connor just trying to stick within that slipstream and use a bit of deployment to try and go around the outside line, but he's literally sticking within the rear wing. It's a bit like IndyCar, this, to be honest, coming through turn 10 and out to the right-hander of 11, and Bassett gets flung out of the dirty air, and Connor has not got any say in that, and he stays in behind. And of course, on those wearing softs, look who's behind him. Jensen is behind him, and Basti's going to be holding both of these guys up as well. So Jensen there in P9 at the minute. He's going to be out in a net P7, but with Connor's penalty and Basti, of course, struggling in that set of mediums early on in this stint, Jensen is now well within the fight for a possible top 5 finish. Really still leading the way now with Daniel in 2nd. And look at Jensen's speed coming off the corner. Is he going to get 2 of them down the straight? Basti now on the outside line. Jensen could have gone for the move down the inside layer, I felt. Didn't want to risk it though. And Jensen so much quicker on that sort of soft component tires. He's now through and he's into P6. And I'm just going to put it on the line here. I think he might win this.
Well, I wasn't expecting my prediction to be right earlier on when he made that mistake. Well, he just had a bad start, sorry, at the start of the race. I think Chalkers has had a mistake coming through the final corner. Still carrying on, though, down in 16th place at this moment in time, as another car had a spin, and that is Fleddy coming through the end of the first sector, but there's absolutely nothing Basti can do here. There goes Jensen down the inside, and do you know what? I think Luca is going to have a bit of a go on Connor here as well. Connor's going to try hold this off all the way around the outside. He's trying for all he's worth, but there's 5 lap difference in the tyres. There's a bit of wheel bagging, and Luca gets that position in the end, and I don't think it'll be too long before Noof is making his way through as well. At some tracks, you can pit on lap 1 and go onto a set of soft tyres in a 25% race. France is definitely not one of them. We're seeing that now for Connor. He is really struggling around here.
Somebody that is struggling as well as the leader, Rudy, was under attack from Daniel coming to the right-hander of turn 10 and now through 11 and 12. Daniel now on fire. Look at Lynx though in behind, literally running in the AlphaTauri slipstream at this stage of the race. Jensen though has gained a 2nd on these guys, and he's within DRS, I think, coming across the straight as well. Basti just about in that, but Jensen doesn't pick up the DRS detection point this time around. Lynx though side by side with Daniel in towards turn 1 lap 9 out of 13. Rudy still leading the way. Daniel in 2nd, Lynx in 3rd. Luca's got the move done. Basti launched it down the inside line, I think, in towards turn 1, and Basti's gone for a spin. Got caught in the curb on the inside coming through turn 2, and Basti's gone for a spin, and he's down there in 14 to the points position now. Looking like Basti is not going to be in that mix, but he has recovered. He's still in 14th. Fleddy has spun, and he's in 15th, and he has retired into the pit lane. Rudy Lowe leading, Daniel in 2nd, Lynx in 3rd. I think I'm about to say my traditional catchphrase, welcome to the wacky races.
Yeah, it's we always knew it was going to spice up towards the end of a sprint race. You know, no relaxing anymore from these guys. Lynx seems to have the pace all of a sudden over Daniel. I think Daniel made a slight mistake coming out of the final corner last time around, and you can see Daniel was just struggling a bit on traction. Lynx won't be able to make it all the way around the outside at Signes. He's completely emptied his battery. There's no point pressing overtake when you're on 0% links. It's a bit like when Buemi tried steering with no tyres. It makes you feel good. It's not going to do any difference whatsoever. You can see how quickly Jensen's got onto the back of these guys as well, all the way around the outside of Zoidema there. That is going to be a fantastic move. If he can pull it off, look how good these soft tyres are now. That's bad news for Rudy, Daniel and Lynx. You don't see many overtakes around the outside of there, as Lynx tries one down the inside of the final corner, and that might just slow him up.
It will slow him up, and now Jensen's going to have the run down and towards turn 1. Look at how much deployment he's got compared to Lynx as well. Jensen's going to make easy work of Lynx down and towards turn 1. The McLaren pulls alongside the Mercedes and is through. Jensen through and he's into P3. He's got Daniel on a penalty in front of him as well. So now, really, Rudy against Jensen possibly for the race win. Last 10 out of 13. Rudy leads the way. Daniel in second, Jensen in third. Nuther's now hopped onto the train along with Luca, Funky Chicken and Connor having a bit of side-by-side battle. And it's actually 3 wide coming out of turn 5, and Boss Wanted gets them both. So Boss Wanted through and he's into 8. Connor and Funky Chicken just got caught in each other there, and now Connor down into 9. Boss Wanted through and he's into 8, and Jensen is absolutely through as well. Can he get the move done on Rudy for the race lead? Down the inside line, in towards turn number 8, gets the move done. Jensen said, literally said, about 2-3 laps ago, Jensen might win this, and he's into the race lead.
That was absolutely brilliant. I'm not sure if that was orchestrated between the two McLarens. If it was, fair play to them for somehow managing to pull that off without Moody losing a position. But yeah, Jensen might be able to just try and get away now. He has got the red light flashing on the back of the car, so he'll be down less than 10%. We've had another spin, and that is Chalkers as still Funky Chicken starting to lose places. It's looking like if you were starting on that alternate strategy, if you got yourself into the top 10 on a set of medium tyres, as Jensen, I think Luca might have done, and Noof as well, that was definitely the thing to do, because now you're on the softs. Now you're just able to break away ever so slightly. The question is, how could Noof and Luca get up the order here? Could we even see one of these two, maybe both, get on the podium?
Smalley launched one on Bunty further down the field as well for P10, and now Funky Chicken draws alongside Bunty. Side by side though, I don't know where to turn. Boss Wanted through on Connor. Funky Chicken now side by side with Bunty down in towards turn 1. Bunty on the inside line retakes a position. So he's through and he's into 11th. He had the drag down in towards turn 1 on the side draft basically. Bunty through and he's into 11th. Jensen though leading the way. Gap now, 600 per second. I think he's just made a mistake, actually, as Jensen. Is he going to give DRS to Rudy to try and have a fight back on the road to Mistral straight? And how much to and now Rudy is going to try and get fast. Jensen leading the way, Rudy in second, Lynx as well, closing in rapidly on the back of Daniel. Is he going to launch it down the inside line and towards turn 8? No. Jensen holds the lead. Rudy in second, Daniel in third, 2.5 laps to go. Anything can still probably happen as Connor picks up another 3-second penalty.
Yeah, Connor picking up another penalty there. Noof looked as though he was able to just keep a tighter line through the chicane, even though he's obviously losing out in the dirty air of all these cars, as is Zoidema, to be fair. So, yeah, might be a chance for Noof to get a move done here. Lynx is running low on his ERS. You can see them all ducking and diving at this moment in time. This is just for a much lower amount of points. Jensen's on to get 10 points at the moment for a win. These are battling for basically single points here. Nothing compared to what they'll be battling for in the main race. So imagine what sort of action we're going to get there in about half an hour, 45 minutes time, as Noof down the inside at the final corner, tries to get it done on the brakes. Has he got the traction now to try and pull away from Zoidema, as we've got Lynx and Daniel going side by side. I think Lynx has got that move done. Noof's up into the top 5 as well.
Yeah, well, Lynx launched it down the inside line. Connor, I think, has spun through the final corner. He's actually into the pit lane. So Connor has retired either out on track or in the pits. I think that's out on track, if I'm not mistaken. So Connor retires out on track. Not sure if there was contact further down the field between him and another car. Jensen, though, leading the way. Rudy in second. McLaren's beginning to dominate. Constructors might be wrapped up here in the sprint race. Looking at it, Jensen leads the way. Lynx and Daniel as well have got penalties. Lynx has got another penalty, 3 seconds. And Daniel, I think, also picked up another one as Nuth is flying down the straight, down the Mistral straight, and Nuth is side by side now with the AlphaTauri, looks to the inside line in the Williams. He is through and he's into P4, and if he didn't get caught up in that traffic, what could have he done in this race? Nuth is into P4, looking like he's going to be on the podium as well in this sprint race. Jensen leading the way, though. Rudy in second, Lynx in third. 1.5 laps to go here in France for the sprint race.
Yeah, 1.5 laps to go, and it's all just starting to heat up at the moment. Lynx is a bit far behind Rudy at this moment in time, so hasn't got a lot to defend from Noof. But then again, Noof's not got a lot of electrical energy. His tyres are starting to wear out a tiny bit more. Is Rudy going to dare go for a move on his teammate Jensen? These seem to get on well, and of course fighting, well, not really fighting for the Constructors' Championship after this race. almost anything other than a double DNF will probably secure it for them in the main race, in the feature race, if you will, for the finale here at France. But doing a fantastic job at the moment. Rudy, I think at this moment in time, it wouldn't surprise me if his mediums are actually better than Jensen's softs. And he's got the DRS, and he's got a bit more ERS as well. Not sure whether he's going to go for it, though. Noof, all over the back of Lynx. I think he's going to have to do it on pure traction. And from what we've seen so far, he can do, even though he doesn't need to get it done out on track because of the penalties, of course.
I think he will do, though, of course, because he's down the Mistral straight. Lynx is going to be out of DRS range, I think, to Rudy as well. So this is going to egg on the German even more. And Nuth now P4, Lynx there in P3. Jensen leads the way. Rudy in second. They teased, actually, a bit of a battle with McLaren's early on the Discord server. And Rudy trying to desperately try and close back up to his own teammate. Nuth is side by side, though, with Lynx down into the Mistral, the chicane. And now he's turning it into P4. And Daniel is through around the outside of Zernimer, holds on to position there for fifth, and Zernimer's gone for a spin. So Zernimer now on the brink of possibly losing points. In fact, he will lose points because now Boss wants it through. He's into 7. Jensen though leading the way. Rudy in second. Rudy is catching Jensen. Hand over fist. Is he going to try and think about going around the outside? Coming through turn 11, then through turn 12. He teased the move. Can he try and tease it again? Coming through the left-hander of turn 12. Jensen leading the way. Rudy trying to take as much action as possible. He has a snap of oversteer. That might have just secured it for Jensen. But now on the run in towards Lack and Ponce at turn 14 and 15. Jensen hanging on for grim life. Full points on offer here, of course. 10 for Jensen, 8 for Rudy. Now I think that's how they're going to end up. Jensen on the run to line will win the French Grand Prix sprint race and now lands one hand on that trophy. Jensen wins, Rudy there in second, Nuth there in third. Fantastic, fantastic race. Luca in fourth in the end. Lynx in fifth, Daniel sixth, Zernimer in seventh. They pick up the points. Bunty in 8th, Black Box in 9th, Boss Wanted there in 10th, Funky Chicken, Basti, Smalley ran off the top 13, and Chalk is, of course, still continuing on. Dan in 14th, of course, he will not pick up any points. Jensen, though, wins. Rudy in second. Rudy almost teased half a move there on Jensen, I think, into the final lap of the race. And why not? Because you're both teammates. You're both battling out for the race win. I think, honestly, race win comes better than, obviously, wrapping up a Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, man, let's not forget, as long as they didn't take each other out completely, as Chalkers is just drifting his way towards the finish line in 14th. Where's the bit of harm? There's only a few points in it. Rudy wasn't going to try anything ridiculous on his teammate. I think he was always going to keep it safe. So fair play to him for trying to go for that move and spice things up in the end. I think you were right. If it wasn't for that one tiny bit of oversteer, though, I think Rudy would have had a chance into the final corner.
Definitely so, and that now wraps up the sprint race for Jensen to the top step of the podium. It's a McLaren 1-2 again. These McLarens seem to be making a habit of finishing 1-2 recently in TTML F1, but it is Jensen, of course, to the top step of the podium. Rudy there in second. Fantastic drive, by the way, from Nuth. Watch out for him in the main race. If his strategy is anything as good as what it was in the sprint race, watch out for Nuth, because he could be a very lively contender in this race moving forward for TTML F1. Daniel as well saying all drivers, of course, do get that free tyre choice in the feature race. Of course, no qualifying will separate that. Jensen has won, though, from Rudy in second. Nuth there in third. Picked up the fastest lap points as well. So well done to Nuth on picking up an extra point. So I think he gets his total up to 7 rather than just 6. Luca there in fourth. Lynx in fifth. Daniel in sixth. And Zernimer ran off the top 7. They pick up the points for the sprint race. Bunty there in 8th. Drove very, very well in the second half. Black Box in 9th. Boss Wanted there in 10th. Funky Chicken 11th. Basti in 12th. Smalley 13th. Chalk has still continued on. Well done to him, finishing in 14th. Connor and Fleddy both retiring out of the race, and they're probably going to get a little bit more extra practice in for the feature race coming up. But Jensen has won, Rudy in second. That's up very nicely, I think, for the feature race.
Yeah, there's now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, 74 points between the two of them, and Jensen needs to be 62 clear tonight, and he will secure the championship. So if Jensen gets a podium, it's championship over. But it's the simplest scenario. No matter if Rudy wins, if Jensen gets a podium, it is championship over. Given the fact that he's only failed to get a podium once so far this season, and that was at the Russian Grand Prix, I think it's going to be very tough to stop Rudy to stop Jensen taking this championship tonight.
Yeah, definitely so. It's going to be a bit different, actually, in terms of how these points will work out, of course, in the feature race. Looking at the traditional point system, Rudy has basically got to win this race. Jensen can finish in third, but that's the maximum amount of positions he can actually get. Because remember, the 74 points, 62, 13 points basically is the gap. So he cannot finish fourth, Jensen. Otherwise, it'll still be a point in it going into Mexico, of course, for Jensen to try and outscore Rudy there in Mexico. But Jensen leading the way in the championship, 74 points now, the gap. And with more points available for all of our drivers, of course, all the way down to 19th position. We've only got 16 drivers, so minimum of 4 points will be picked up at least if everyone finishes. But what on earth do we expect in this feature race between them both?
I think we're going to expect a lot of drivers starting on the harder tyres and then moving to the softs at the end of the race. If we're being honest, just by not only from Jensen's performance, which at the start we weren't expecting. He was struggling on the medium tyres. It turns out we shouldn't have never have doubted him. That was just for tyres. But also Noof managing to work his way up into third place, setting the fastest lap. Luca, I think, finishing in fourth. So out of the top four, it was only Rudy who actually was on the more conventional strategy, and he dominated qualifying. So a lot of drivers will be going for that. We're going to call it the alternate strategy still. On here, it's pretty much going to be the main strategy, and the alternate one will be drivers choosing to start on the soft tyres and make hay while the sun shines.
Yeah, definitely so. And I think, honestly, you speak about drivers going on that set of hard compound tyre and going on the hardest two compound tyres, of course, the set of mediums and the set of hards. I've seen drivers this week so far go for that set of hard compound tyres, especially in F2, where, of course, the racing was really, really good in F2. And if you didn't watch that stream back, of course, you can go back and watch it. Bunty basically needs P4 more to win the championship, as Bunty has suggested in terms of us. We've already figured that one out, Bunty. You're not watching the stream, my son. Jensen there, though, he's got to finish third, basically, for him to wrap up the championship. Because if he finishes fourth, the 74 points, 13 points, basically, will not have him for the championship. There'll be 1 point in it, so therefore Jensen will have to finish in third. Rudy has to win this race to stay within it. But I think, honestly, more focus, I think, will be on Rudy possibly helping his teammate. Of course, they're starting first and second. What tactics do the McLarens run? Surely one of them has got to be the rear gunner to the other.
I don't know whether they need to run any tactics with how good they've looked so far. I think they could just run their own race, and we might see something like when it was Hamilton and Rosberg at Mercedes. It's just those two having their own battle at the front, and it doesn't matter because everyone else is so much far behind. I think they're going to be starting both of them on the medium tyres, maybe even possibly the hard tyres, like you said. Whether that means any of the drivers behind, starting in third and fourth, might think, is it worth going for a set of soft tyres, trying to make some moves early on, and then just escape and seeing what you can do at the end of the race? Because that might spice things up here. I think if we get the entire field starting on the same strategy, might not necessarily get the most exciting race. I think you could do with one or two drivers, especially higher up, trying something different, starting on that set of soft tyres, starting on a set of hard tyres, just to mix things. That's if we get a fully dry race, of course. Who says it won't rain?
Who says it won't rain? Indeed, of course, we had that in one of either F2 or F4 that I covered. One of the two races certainly ended up being transitional conditions, of course, from a set of dries to a set of intermediate compound of tyre. In fact, it was actually F2 because Jona got lapped twice by the race winner. Really, really strange, of course, indeed. And Jona, of course, qualified pole position for the feature race as well, which made it even more stranger and probably made it the best race of the season in TTML F2 this season. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, so far. Like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you are new. We are normally sponsored by the IGK TAS system. TAS, of course, sponsoring the first race, certainly the sprint race. Don't think they're sponsoring the feature race, though, because sadly we don't have the TAS system for this one.
Yeah, just with the way the system works, it takes the first race and then that is it. So yeah, unfortunately, we have not got the TAS system, but make sure to give it a check out. And next week, when I'm sure you'll all return, seeing as we've had scintillated action so far, you will then be able to use the TAS commands in the chat. But hopefully it won't be long. I think drivers, obviously, now, this is something they're not normally allowed to do. They can change setups if they want to. Maybe if they were finding things a bit oversteering, a bit understeering in that first race, maybe trying to get the temps under control as well, they can make some changes for the setup. There's no way of implementing park firm-made conditions between what are effectively two completely different sessions, with the qualifying and sprint race making up one and this race making up the other. So people might try something different.
Yeah, definitely. So I can certainly see a white wall tyre in one of the Red Bull garage. I think that might be for Basti. He looks like he might be going on a set of hard compound tyres, of course. We'll have to wait and see what everyone's strategy is going to be on. We are about to get going onto the formation lap, however, for the French Grand Prix, unless I'm absolutely lying. No, we are going to go on the formation lap. And the front two, of course, on that set of medium compound tyres. Spy others as well on the set of mediums. And in fact, for everyone apart from Chalkers is on a set of medium compound tyres. Chalkers, of course, being on that set of hard. So everyone going middle of the road. And just talking about the strategy, I normally say around here, mediums can last you around 14, 15 laps before you either make a strategy call. Do you go on that set of hards to make sure you get to the end of the race? Or do you go on that sort of soft compound tyres, have a good 4 or 5 laps, and then really begin to suffer on those tyres?
I'm going to be honest, I think if you're leaving it 14 or 15 laps to make the strategy call to go to a set of hard tyres, you've made the wrong call there. Really, well, if you're going to go medium hards, you need to make your mind up about that round about lap 10, lap 11, and just absolutely rip the life out of the medium tyres and then go onto a set of hards to try to make it worthwhile. I think if you go in mediums to soft tyres, you're probably going to try and stretch it 19 or 20 laps. Of course, what differs from a normal race is they've all got a fresh set of tyres now. It's not like in a normal race here and a normal race in Formula 1 where the top 10 have to start on the tyres that they've qualified on, which they had to do in the sprint race as well. They've all got a brand new fresh set of rubber, which could just make the difference between doing a medium hard and a medium soft for some of these drivers.
Well, medium hard, it looks like the strategy could be, because I've just seen the AWS graphic appear on my end on Jensen, and that was lap 12 to lap 15 on that set of hard compound tyres. But as we always say in these streams, never trust the AWS graphics, of course, on this game. We can leave it, of course, our normal graphics man. He's not here tonight, of course, Mr. Tom Zaggers, to take you through all of that. But Jensen out on top, Rudy in second, Nuth there in third. I'll be really interested to see how Zerdimer can get on from 7th position. He showed quite a lot of pace in that sprint race. And now he's in P7 in a more favourable position, I've got to say, on the grid. Bunty there behind him, Black Box behind him as well. Zerdimer has had good pace so far in this race, of course. How will he get on from 7th position?
I mean, I think he's normally a better racer than he is qualifier, to be honest. I was very impressed by his one-shot qualifying. Had a bit of bad luck towards the end of that race, which did possibly maybe cost him a position or two, as he'd kept it clean on penalties. And if he can do that again, keeping it clean on penalties, might get a safety car. Who knows? It is rare around here as there's a lot of runoff area to avoid drivers getting a safety car. That could make a difference at the end of the race, and that could mess up all these drivers' strategies who've gone to start on the medium tyres.
All the cars have now drawn onto the grid. We're about to go racing once again. The father of lights are about to go out here for the feature race here in France, and it is lights out and away we go, and Rudy reacts quicker to the start. He's going to be alongside Jensen down in towards turn 1. He could even get the lead down in towards turn 1. He's got the side draft going around the outside now in towards turn 1, but Jensen holds the lead, or does he? Because Rudy goes around the outside and he takes the lead. Rudy Thuney's into the lead of the race. Everyone is clean through the chicane safely. Rudy though leading the way. Jensen is fighting side by side with his own teammate, now going around the outside. Now through turn 3, he has to cut the one-off area and has to rejoin track as well. And Jensen rejoins track in third, because Nuth is going to be Thuney's into second. Jensen with a disastrous start, according to his teammate. Rudy there into the lead. Nuth there in second. Jensen in third. Luca in fourth. Daniel in fifth. Lynx and Zerdimer are fighting side by side. Lynx really coming across there on Zerdimer now down the Mistral straight, but Rudy leads the way. Nuth in second. Jensen in third. I think Zerdimer's just going to have the traction and maybe just have the pace to try and outgun Lynx in towards the Mistral chicane. He does, but now Lynx will try and replicate this around the outside line. Rudy leads the way. Nuth in second. Jensen in third. Through the first half a lap we go. Lynx and Zerdimer still side by side up the hill and towards turn 10.
Yeah, Zerdimer's got the inside line here, so I think he is going to end up holding that position. Lynx having to give up. Nuth trying to go all the way around the outside of Rudy here at turn number 11, and that might just allow Jensen back into play all of a sudden, but the way that corner pans out, in the end, Nuth able to hold on to that. We'll just quickly get the position changes up then.
Oh!
2 places gained. I think that's Connor and Basti maybe who've had the impact.
No. Bunty into the back. Oh, and actually Connor and Bassi do make a little bit of contact, but it was Bunty into the back of Boss Wanted. Boss Wanted forced the move, I think, coming through turn 11. Got the move done. He's through, he's into 8th. Connor and Bassi are still fighting side by side. 3 wide into the final corner. Really doesn't work, and Fleddy is involved in that as well. Funky Chicken involved in that, and now he's going side by side with Basti on the run down the straight. Really though leads the way. Nuth in second, Jensen in third, and it's 2x2 like Noah's Ark in towards turn 1. Basti on the back of Funky Chicken tries to go down the inside line, he doesn't, and now Freddy will try and replicate that move. But goodness me, all action here in France.
Yeah, talk about a commentator's curse. I saw Connor and Basti swap positions, so I just assumed they were the two that had made contact, and 1 second later, lo and behold, they did make contact. Only Luca in the position where he started. Everyone else, we've seen big changes. Connor's gained 3, quite a few. Jensen, Lynx, Funky Chicken and Basti losing 2 places as well. We saw Jensen have a bad start last time. We put that down to the medium tyres. This time just didn't get away as well as Rudy. Made a slight mistake. Oh, well, maybe should have given up the position. Tried to hold it around the outside and then ended up losing the position to Noof. But that's the second race in a row we've seen the person who started in second actually getting the slightly better getaway.
Look at the straight line speed of Nuth coming through turn 10 there. He's right on the back of Rudy coming through 11. And he looks like he's got more of a straight line speed setup around this track compared to a downforce setup, as it looks like Rudy has coming through now the final sector. There's that middle sector, of course, where he can really gain the time on this track. Nuth there in second, doing a fantastic job. Jensen now in third. He's settled down as our championship leader. Luca in behind him, though, in fourth, and maybe getting a sense of deja vu because he's got an IFR man behind him. And of course, Jensen, formerly of IFR, has got a former TTG man in Luca behind him as well. But really leading the way. Nuth there in second, Jensen in third, and Nuth sets the fastest lap of the race at 1:33.5. on that set of medium compounded size. Chalkers, by the way, down at the back of the field now. He's lost a few positions off the start. 2 positions lost. In fact, quite a few drivers have lost 2 positions. Connor has gained the most, of course, in 3, as Luke has already mentioned. But Rudy leading the way. Nuth in second. Will Nuth attack Rudy down and towards turn number 8? I don't think he will. I think he'll just wet him behind here.
Yeah, I think he will as well. He's got close coming into Sinya's turn 10 and then into 11 as well a few times. And that was without the DRS, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do with the DRS. If he is closing up onto the back of Rudy, he is using some of his ERS as well, and he's not hanging around whatsoever. Straight down the inside goes TTG Noof. Rudy tries to hold on to that position, can't quite do so. In the end, Jensen has to take a tiny bit of avoiding action. And that is the Williams man in the lead. Noof clearly feels like he's got the pace this race. We haven't seen him on the podium in a full race so far this season. In the sprint race, that was his best result as well. And his best result before that was another sprint race at Imola, finishing in 4th. So Noof definitely enjoying this different format at this moment in time. He's taken the lead. Is he just taking too much out of his tyres, though? We'll have to wait and see. All of them doing a better job of saving their ERS in this race, of course, because it's double the distance.
Yeah, good battle further down the field as well. Funky Chicken made a mistake coming through turn 11. He went onto the outside line and just waltzed it around the outside of Basti as if he wasn't even there. Now Basti is going to try and replicate that move down the inside. A bit forceful from Basti. Launched it down the inside on. They're going to lose DRS as well to Connor if they're not careful. And now Funky Chicken is behind Basti because Basti gets the DRS. Funky Chicken also, but he hasn't got the straight line speed to try and close in on the Red Bull ahead, and the Alpine will have to wait in behind. And he's going to come out. He's going to have to come up with an L plan to try and get past the Red Bull there in 13th position. Nuke there in the lead. Rudy in second. Jensen in third. Front 3, though, I get the feeling beginning to pull away. Luca looks like he's struggling on that set of mediums. He's under pressure from Daniel, of course, in behind. Daniel, of course, had very good pace in the sprint race. But the top 3 just beginning to get the first sign of them beginning to pull away from Luca in front.
Yeah, they're doing a good job at the moment, those top 3. They are working together. Luca's got a bit closer this time around. It doesn't really look as though he's under any pressure from Daniel. Zoidema just breaking the toe ever so slightly. Pulling out of the slipstream, perhaps more just to try and spook Daniel into thinking that he's going to get a move. It's always nice if you can get the car in front of you offline and start defending fresh air. It gives you a better chance through the next following corners. But we have got a massive train at the moment. Chalker's just outside this DRS train, but other than that, every single car is in it at this moment in time. Probably means we're not going to get too much overtaking. It shouldn't see too much happen now, maybe, for the next few laps. Round about lap 10 or 11, if anyone fancies doing anything different and going for a set of the hard tyres, that might be the time to do so. Otherwise, with the final 10 laps of this race, where it really spices up. Rudy just perhaps a bit deep there, losing some time to Jensen. He won't be under any pressure, though, coming down this DRS straight. As things stand at the moment, Jensen will be the champion, but we have got 23 laps to go at the end of this one. So it looks like Zoidema's going to try and make his way up into 5th.
Yeah, Daniel made a mistake coming to the final corner, then Zerma's Thuni's into 5th and laps that one up as if it wasn't even there once again. So the Alpine Thuni's into 5th position. Daniel just got caught on the curb. He ran so far out wide, he got caught on the curb, it just forced him slightly off track. And then Zerma also had a bit of oversteer in that. So actually Zerma down the straight, got the move done. He's Thuni's into 5th and he had better drag, of course, than the AlphaTauri in behind him. Splits beginning to happen further down the field as well. Boss Wanted struggling to keep onto the back of Lynx now. It's rarely pretty much now around a second, that gap between Lynx and Boss Wanted. Lynx is actually going to try and attack Daniel in towards the Mistral chicane. He's right on the back of him. Is he going to launch it down the inside line? And you bet he will. He's down the inside line. He forced the Boss Wanted into a slight mistake. And now the Alpha Academy driver all the way around the outside line. Now for the left-hander of turn 9 and then up the run it towards turn 10. Gets the job done. And Lynx used the deployment just to back off that, just to complete that move even more. Lynx is through and he's into stake. Boss Wanted there still in 7th. Basti as well on the back of Connor. Further down the field, coming like charging like a lion of contact. Connor makes a little bit of contact with him. Basti though down the inside line. Connor forcefully. How is that a Ferrari-shaped car move there? I do not know. But Ferrari into the Ferrari of Connor into P12 and Basti and Connor getting very, very aggressive towards one another. They're just going to calm it down.
Yeah, they've got to. I think this has ended in a bit of contact. Basti sends the move. Well, Connor trying to fight it back into the final corner. He's not going to be able to do so. There's a bit of tap between the two of them and Funky Chicken very nearly in the innocent party and all of that there. Very nearly finding himself completely spun around. But Fleddy gets that move done. Connor on Basti again. I feel like at some point there's going to be contact between these two. They've been rubbing shoulders all the way since lap 1 on this race. They're still going on lap 6. Basti, well, perhaps unsurprisingly, the first man to get a penalty. Further up the field, Boss Wanted did briefly there just drop outside of DRS range of Daniel. Daniel definitely not got the pace that he had at the start of this race. Well, at the start of the sprint race, I should say. He's really struggling on these medium tyres. He's drifting through every single corner.
He is indeed. Daniel there in 7th. Boss Wanted in 8th, and now the AlphaTauri is beginning to come the cork and the bottle. Connor, by the way, is on the back of Basti, weaving across the straight down into turn 8, and Connor launches that around the outside line. My God, what a move by Connor around the outside line. Basti had absolutely no chance. Connor is a skilled driver on his day, and that just comes to damn well prove it. Connor is doing his into 12. That was an absolutely insane move. As long as he can back Basti off into turn 11, he will complete that move, and Connor has done. Through into 12th position. That is the best overtake I think I've ever seen in France.
Absolutely fantastic. I think he got fed up with all these games, sent it round the outside. Superb from Connor. See if he can work his way up the order. Reminder, everyone is on that set of the medium tyres, apart from Chokers. He's on the set of hards, and that is why he is perhaps struggling at this moment in time. But it's all the guys at the back of the field clearly fighting hard. Out of the front, it is all sort of calming down now. I think we could see Daniel start to drop a bit more soon, though. He's now lost DRS to his teammate, Boss Wanted, which is a big favour for Boss Wanted, as he was going to start coming under pressure from Bunty. So I wonder if Daniel could be one of those drivers to perhaps go for the medium hard tyres, because there's nothing at the moment that suggests he'll be able to eke at least another 10 laps out of them to get onto a set of softs, as Chalkers becomes the second man in this race to get a 3-second time penalty for track limit violations.
Oh, Rudy just had a slight twitch there coming out of turn 6. Jensen now on the back of him. I don't think he's going to be close enough to get the move done. But you never know, championship rivals might go at it, like Verstappen and Hamilton, of course, in real life this season. Boss Wanted with teammates. Speaking of teammates, Boss Wanted is through and Daniel into P7, no hanging around there. Probably no contact in terms of Boss Wanted and Daniel being in the same party either. But Boss Wanted through and he's into 7th. Daniel, though, is going to have the run up the hill in towards turn 10. Rudy as well, closing in on Nuth. Nuth has got a stranglehold over this race so far, as I'm still watching Daniel on Boss Wanted coming through turn 10 and then through 11. He's just going to back off the move, and Boss Wanted will remain in that position for now. Rudy looks like, though, he gets the better run up the hill and towards turn 10 and then really can't do anything about it. Nuth has got a little bit of a stranglehold on this race so far. As we approach 1/3 distance as well, drivers will begin to think about when they're going to be pitching in, probably around the halfway stage onwards, we would imagine. Nuth leading the way, Rudy there in 2nd, Jensen in 3rd, Luca in 4th, and Luca actually, from being nearly a second outside of Jensen's toe, 7/10 of a second, he's still staying in there, the IFR man.
Yeah, but I think staying in there is about as good as it's getting for him. If we look at his battery there, you can see just about 40% coming out of turn 2. Jensen's over 60%. Nuth and Rudy in over 60 and 70% as well. So Luca using a lot of electrical energy at the moment to keep with these guys. And I think if he drops outside of the DRS range, we might see Zoidema try to get a move done. But good work from Luca. He might be able driver to possibly think about for an undercut, as Connor and Smalley have now both picked up 3-second time penalties as well. Basti also. Maybe Luca might just go for the undercut to try something different in this race, as Rudy's going to go down the inside of Noof into the chicane. Not quite made the move work, and this could all work out for Jensen if these two carry on fighting. Noof too busy defending from Rudy, and here comes Jensen, but he's got nowhere to go.
He's boxed in by his own teammate, and Rudy now on the outside line will have to try and go the inside of Nuth. He doesn't manage it. Nuth there side by side, nearly with Rudy in towards turn 10. It's Nuth that still holds the lead. Rudy there in second, Jensen in third. Lynx as well, fighting side by side as well with Luca. Just further down the field there in fifth and sixth, but Nuth leading the way. Rudy in second, Jensen in third. That got all a little bit sketchy, I've got to say, from both McLarens. Didn't work out at all, because I think Rudy wanted to try and launch a move on Nuth down in towards the chicane north at turn 8 and 9. Jensen tried to follow through as well, and I don't think his expectation was to try and go for that move. Smalley and Connor fighting further down the field as well, and Connor tries to waltz it down the inside line in towards turn number 15, but at the final corner, Basti touches Smalley's rear end, and that secures the move for Connor. He's Spoonies into 11th and Lynx on the back of Luca, still for P5, and actually I think Zernemer has got through on Luca if I'm not mistaken. Boss wanted down the inside line of the AlphaTauri of Daniel. It's all really kicking off here as we go to 1/3 distance.
Yeah, it is all kicking off. They almost think like we're still in a sprint race all of a sudden. Like, calm down, lads. You've still got 2/3 of the race to go. Here, Boss wanted, just losing a lot of time at the moment, battling with Daniel, obviously not helping. I wonder if Luca made a slight mistake somewhere, because he dropped a long way behind Zoidema. And then he still had the DRS as well, I think, at the time of losing that place. And then Lynx was almost able to get it done as well. The Rudy Noof move, it was tough but fair. There was definitely a door open there for Rudy to get the move done. Noof held it off round the outside. Jensen so unlucky. If this had been one car width wider, I think we'd be seeing Jensen in the lead of the race at the moment. But for now, he's just having to settle for third position, just having to wait behind these drivers. We'll see whether Zoidema can maybe get onto the back of them and drag Luca and Lynx along as well if the front three start battling hard once again, as they all just concertina up through this final sector.
Yeah, definitely so. And look at the split now between the pack. The front six are beginning to pull away. Boss wanted Rudy and Daniel, the Cork and the Boss of the AlphaTauri is really struggling in terms of their pace, and they're holding pretty much half the pack in behind. Chalkers is struggling obviously down in 16th position. He's still on that set of hard compound tyres. They're going to come quite good, I think, in the next couple of laps or so. But he's pretty much got the long-term work now really out of the way. I think he made a mistake there as well, did Chalkers. Nuclear leading the way, Rudy in second, Jensen in third. On to lap 10 out of 27 we go. Fleddy on the back of Basti on the run up towards turn 1. Not going to get the move done now. They're all stuck in a big DRS train, of course, in behind both AlphaTauris, and Basti actually goes a little bit deep in towards turn 1, and Fleddy is going to try and get this move in towards turn 3, but again, Basti just used a bit of deployment to try and force that move back out. Boss wants to pick up a penalty. Chalkers another penalty as well. Nuth still having a stranglehold on the lead, but I think Rudy this time around is going to be close. You can see Nuth weaving down the straight, trying to break that toe desperately, and Rudy says, you know what, I'm just going to sit and wait behind, wait for you to make a mistake in front as the cloud cover begins to come over the circuit slightly.
Yeah, just a slight bit of cloud cover, which at the moment is probably ideal. It just helps with track temperatures ever so slightly, and especially now that the mediums are getting warm, you don't want to overheat them too much around here. Keeping temperature in the tyres is never really a problem on F1 2021. It's getting too much, especially final sector at France really being a killer on the tyres. Just on board with Chalkers last time around, he looked as though he was really struggling with understeer on that car. The hard tyres still not giving him that front end that he needs. I wonder if he'll make a quick adjustment on the front wing in the pit stop, maybe to give himself a bit more grip. But it's fascinating between the front six at the moment, all very close together, all within about 3 seconds of each other. So one penalty for these guys could be crucial and could really ruin their races. Lap 11 this time around, 17 to go. Rudy still on the back of Noof at this moment in time, and I'm not sure whether that was a move to try and scare Noof or just defend from his teammate Jensen.
I think it was a bit of both, to be honest, because I thought Jensen was going to be let through there down in towards turn 1. Jensen looks like he's got the pace over these two, so why wouldn't you let Jensen try and have a go at the lead of the race and to try and wrap up the championship as well on your own teammate? I think Rudy's probably got no intention of trying to let his own teammate wrap up the championship here. At this moment in time, Rudy is outscoring Jensen, and the gap between Rudy and Jensen, of course, 5 points. I think the championship will go to Mexico, but Rudy, I think, is going to go for the race lead here down in the Stroll straight in towards the chicane. Note at turn 8 and 9. Rudy's alongside this time. Forces a move on Nuth, and Jensen's going to try and waltz around the outside of that as well. A little bit forceful move, I've got to say that from Rudy. Jensen now is going to have the run for the race lead on Rudy. Pulls out of the slipstream to the inside line, coming through turn 10. It is simple, it is orchestrated, it is effective, but Jensen is doing his installation. Rudy in second. If it wasn't for that bit of contact, I think, with Nuth, I think Nuth still would have been there in the lead.
Yeah, that bit of contact with Nuth very nearly cost him another place. Zoidema very close to getting the move done, similar to what Jensen did. The difference was Zoidema would have had to go the long way around the outside, and there was no real way that was going to work. The two AlphaTauri still battling quite hard at the moment with this long train behind them. The front six really getting away. Boss Wanted and Daniel definitely a cork in the bottle. The cloud cover really coming over this final sector at this moment in time. I just wonder whether this is why we're seeing everyone on the mediums and only corkers on the hards. Are we going to get some rain here, ladies and gentlemen? Boss Wanted retakes that 7th place. 16 laps to go. Very overcast here at Paul Ricard.
Definitely so. Jensen leading the way, Rudy in second, Nuth in third. Of course, if the TAS system is working, we could give you a weather report, in fact, for the race. It was sunny, of course, and there was only 2% chance of rain expected in that race, in the sprint race. Of course, I think it's more than 2% rain expected here, as Daniel is very wide, coming out of turn number 6 and then to the the left-hander of turn 7. Jensen leading the way, Rudy in second. That orchestrated move has now pulled the McLaren's 8 tenths ahead. Nuth, I think, is just settling back, maybe to try and get his rhythm back. He's 6 tenths behind coming out of the chicane. In there in third, Zerdema there in fourth. But if it's anything like the F2 race, we had the same conditions come over here in F2, and it started raining within 2 laps of the cloud cover really coming over the circuit. So I wonder if we're going to see, even with the glint of the sun coming still into the driver's eye, I wonder if we're going to see rain possibly in the next few laps, as Daniel, again, trying to go side by side with Paul Swanton, doesn't get the move done. But Jensen's still holding the lead, Rudy in second, Nuth in third.
I think there's a few of these drivers might be hoping that it starts raining soon, because we're seeing a lot more drivers sliding around on these sets of medium tyres. And yeah, it is starting. It's started to rain. How quickly will it transition, though, to the intermediate tyre? That is going to be the big test here. And, of course, when it transitions, where you are on track, if you've just passed for pit lane, you're going to be in some big trouble as well. And also for the McLarens, they're going to have to double stack this. Rudy, double stack it is better now. But Rudy is very likely, if the top 6 pit on the same lap, he's going to come out in 6th place. Any slim chance he had of keeping this championship going might just be extinguishing.
Lap around in terms of the transition, but we are going to be getting very close indeed. If that rain comes over any heavier, you will see the spots of rain down the Mistral Straight. This will be the biggest indicator. If you begin to see that yellowish little spot on the tarmac, that indicates really that it is going to be wet very soon indeed. Jensen leading the way, Rudy in second, Nuth there in third, side by side still with the two AlphaTauris, Daniel and Boss Wanted, again swapping positions. Daniel this time doing his intercept, Boss Wanted there in 8th. Nuth, by the way, made a mistake coming through turn number 3. He went so far deep into turn 3. He's lost now 9 tenths per second away to the two McLarens. This moment in time, it is still dry, but the track, you can tell in terms of the tarmac colour, it is getting very, very greasy out there, and that's why we saw Nuth make that slight mistake again, coming through the left-hander of turn 12 again, just running wide slightly. Jensen holding the lead, Rudy in second, Nuth in third. I wonder if we're going to see somebody like Chalkers way down the field. Fleddy side by side now, actually with Boss Wanted in towards turn 12, forces the move, gets the job done, and the McLaren is through, and he's into 13th as Rudy is into the pit lane from the race lead.
Yeah, Rudy into the pits from the race lead. I've just got the lap timer up on the right-hand side, and they only lost 1.5 seconds on that lap. They only lost 1.5 seconds. A few more drivers coming in as well. Daniel, I think, Black Box.
Too early.
And Basti coming into the pits, and yeah, they're not really losing a lot of time at the moment. We'll see how much time Jensen's losing through this first sector, which is looking like that rain is decidedly bouncing off the tarmac around here in an almost British fashion through that part. Yeah, lost 1 second in sector 1. I still think it's a tiny bit too early, though, for Rudy. He's gone for it. He's risked it. Could well have thrown away more than that. As look at Chalkers. He's actually out on another set. He's on his hard tyres. He's spun around there on that set of hards. You'd expect those to be the ones that start struggling more. But Rudy, that time too drunky chicken, just growing and growing and growing. He's gone too early here. Should have a margin to those in the top 6, but if he's really got it wrong, cost the possible any chance of decent points here, could even keep the constructors alive for another race.
DRS disable will come at the end of this lap or at the beginning of next lap. I can guarantee you this now. Rudy is not losing much time to Funky Chicken. He's only losing 3, 4, 5 tenths perhaps per corner, really, on Funky Chicken. And now look at the gap because it's beginning to come down again. It's fluctuating between, but without that crossover period, I think Jensen's going to follow Rudy in here. Connor launches a move on Bunty coming through turn 11, gets the job done there, and he's through, he's into 7th lane. Bunty made a slight mistake there as well. But Jensen now into the pit lane. Nuth will come in, Zernemer will come in. DRS will probably just be disabled when they come into the pit lane, as Zernemer has picked up a 5-second penalty for speed in the pit. But Jensen now into the pit lane. Rudy now at the crossover period. He's beginning to catch Funky Chicken. Jensen has not got the lead of the race, I don't think. If DRS was to be disabled now and Rudy was to really try and find the time, which he is now. Jensen on pit lane exit, Rudy coming through the final corner. Jensen, I think, is going to be ahead, but he's not going to be ahead by much.
Yeah, we'll see where Rudy actually comes out here. There you go, DRS has been disabled. Rudy's flying down the straight. He's going to beat Lynx. He might be able to beat Luca here as well on the brakes because he's used to where the grip is. Down the inside, he sends it into turn 1. Half a lap too early. I think it's fair to say from Rudy because the second half of that lap, he was gaining time hand over fist from everyone else. He just lost it all in the first sector. Rudy up into 4th.
Ooh.
Connor with a very crucial move as Luca and Lynx are battling. I was about to say from Connor, he got ahead of Bunty, and look how far down the field Bunty's now dropped that he's had to do a double stack. He is all the way down in 15th place, whereas Connor is in 8th. That might be why he was so forceful to get ahead of his teammate here. The debate to have is, would Rudy be in a worse position if he'd have pitted the same lap as Jensen? I think he probably would have been.
I think he would have been. He would have been 6th, I think. He would have been behind Lynx and Luca by, I would say, good 3-4 seconds, possibly, when he come out the pit lane. Jensen now holds the lead of the race. Nuth in 2nd, Zernemer in 3rd. And you know what this means? Theoretically, if it stays as it is out on track, Jensen will be wrapping up the championship win in this race as Luca launches it down the inside line of Lynx, coming through turn 11, through the right-hander. He's going to force the move on the IFR Academy driver. Both IFR drivers now fighting side by side. Luca to the outside line. Is he going to get the move done through turn 12? Not quite as a snap of over Stephen. Lynx retakes that position just for now.
Yeah, Lynx retaking that position, but now Rudy, he's really got a task on his hands. He's got to get ahead of Zoida Maneuver and Jensen and hopes that 2 other drivers who haven't got penalties, or that Jensen gets a lot of penalties, also get ahead of Jensen. So it's going to be tough for Rudy to get this championship. He's looking good for 2nd place in the championship at the moment. He is currently 18.5 points ahead of Lynx. He's ahead of him out on track. Zoidema is 7th in the championship at the moment. As Rudy very nearly actually losing it on the curb at the exit of turn 2. He's pushing hard at this moment in time, perhaps a tiny bit too hard as Connor picks up another time penalty.
Yeah, there was a side-by-side battle further down the field as well. Basti and Funky Chicken. Basti rejoined track with the polystyrene board, gone absolutely flying. I think that might have been from Rudy, perhaps. He just lost a bit of time there to Lynx in 4th position. Basti though through on Funky Chicken. If I've got to be honest, Basti, that was off track. You do need to give up that position because he went wide coming through the final corner. He was side by side with him. He was going to get the traction to get that move done, but Basti, I think, needs to give up position to Funky Chicken. Funky there in 14th, of course, going to try and close back up. I think Basti, probably, all intents and purposes, probably now going to try and floor it past Funky Chicken and still stay there in 13th position. Jensen now holding the lead, Nuth in 2nd, and now we will begin to see the real intermediate specialists. We've seen it so far this season. Jensen has been very good on a set of wet compounder tyres in any sort of race. Connor as well on Boss Wanted through and he's into P10. So he's through and he's into 7th. Good move there from Connor and he's beginning to side his way into contention. Jensen though 1.3 seconds holding over Nuth. Nuth very good in terms of his inters in other leagues. Whether or not he can hold the pace of Jensen remains to be seen as a spinner and it's Chalkers round coming out of turn 7.
Wasn't it last time around? The first half of the race was extremely close between Jensen, Rudy and some other drivers. It came to the second half of the race. Jensen just started slowly pulling away from things. He's now 1.5 seconds ahead of Nuve. Just keeping that gap fairly steady at that 1.5 seconds. I think he knows that all he has to do is take it nice and easy. He's got the championship here. Can't relax too much. You don't want to do a Senna at Portier in 88 at Monaco, of course, and completely take your foot off the gas and then end up just losing concentration and crashing out of the race, because if there is going to be anything that could stop Jensen now, it's the rain getting heavier and us going to full wet tyres, which I can't see happening just from the cloud cover and the amount of rain that you can see on the halo cam at this moment in time. But someone could make a mistake, someone could bin it, we could have a safety car, and that would put things completely up to grabs once more.
Yeah, definitely so. Hopefully, we haven't seen any VSCs or safety cars hardly this week in any of the TTML races. Boss Wanted, however, is round coming out of turn 7, and he's actually been caught up with Basti, I think, in that Basti. I'm not sure if he went off by himself. Boss Wanted certainly went off. I think he's lost his front wing, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Boss Wanted has lost his front wing. Basti there around as well. I don't think he's got any damage on that car. In fact, I think he's got left side end plate damage on the car. I don't think they were side by side. Basti was nowhere near Boss Wanted. Might have been a real scenario of the ghosting system failing. Boss Wanted picks up a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. That will get removed inevitably if he still finishes the race. Chalkers, though, as well, into the pit lane, fresh on an intermediate compound attire. And Chalkers actually is going to be the real help to Jensen, or could it be a hindrance, because Chalkers is going to be a lap down. Jensen is right behind him, pretty much, coming out of the pit lane. So Jensen there, leading the way. He's got a ghost car in front of him. Is that more of a hindrance or a help to Jensen?
I'd say it's definitely a hindrance. It's definitely a distraction that you do not want, having a ghost car just ahead of you. It's you're always wondering, I mean, it works pretty well with the lapped cars, as Noof now picks up a 3-second time penalty. It normally works well with the lapped cars. Unfortunately, we've seen, Jays, with decent cars, the ghosting system doesn't always work out quite as well as we would like it to. But I think now that Noose picked up that extra time penalty, Jensen can afford to take it that tiny bit easier. He probably will catch up to Chalkers, I reckon, and get ahead of him and just pull away. There's not a lot Chalkers will be able to do. He is teammates with Noof. I can't see there be any team play going on here. What might be interesting now, Rudy is about 3.1 seconds behind Noof. If he can just gain that extra tenth or two, it'll be a McLaren 1-2 in this race, and I believe they are doing enough as things stand to claim that Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, they are definitely doing enough. Of course, both Mercedes are behind them out on track. Of course, Mercedes being the closest constructor to McLaren, at the minute, first and fourth would be easily enough to wrap up the Constructors' title here tonight. 2/3 of the way through, now 75% race distance, and Jensen leading the way. Nuth there in second, Zerma in third, Luca on the back of Lynx, however. The IFR Academy driver struggling in these conditions, so is the IFR driver though, and both of them around the same pace level in the intermediates. Connor, since passing Smalley, has gained time on Smalley, but I think Smalley's rather going backwards than forwards at this stage, and Connor is rather going backwards than forwards as well, currently in this race at this moment in time. But Jensen leading the way, Newton second, Zedder in third. If we have replicated conditions from TTML F2, this rain will not ease until the penultimate lap of the race. So anybody that is thinking of pitting in for a dry compound tyre, I would think again.
Yeah, I mean, you see it's still falling down at the moment. As long as it's still raining, dries and nowhere near your mind, you're just thinking, is it getting a tiny bit heavier? What is Jeff saying? He has his downsides, and his weather prediction's not as good as I remember them being in some of the PS3 games. And that's Daniel, who sent it round just on the exit curb there, I think at turn number 2. He's all the way down now into 13th place. A good first half of the sprint race. Struggled a bit towards the end, especially with penalties, and it's not been his day in the feature, but should still get some decent points. I think that's Chalkers just getting well out of the way and getting an extremely harsh 10-second time penalty.
Yeah, 10-second time, but I think actually Chalkers made a mistake, and that is why he's off track there, and obviously he was ahead of Jensen before that. Blackbox actually made contact with Daniel coming through turn 1. They were side by side through turn 1, and Blackbox at a sort of off-camber corner, Daniel just came out wide of the off-camber, off the curb, and basically ran into Blackbox's left wheel, the Blackbox's right wheel, of course the right front, contacted with the left wheel and sent Daniel round. So that's what happened there with that incident. Blackbox there in 9th, Daniel now down in 13th position. Jensen though leading the way, Nuth there in 2nd, Zerma in 3rd. Jensen has got considerable pace over Nuth at this stage. He's beginning to pull out now around 5/10 a lap on the German in behind. But Jensen doing a fantastic job there. Zerma looks like he's made a slight mistake as well, coming through turn 14. Rudy now within a second. Of course, if this was DRS enabled, we'll have to wait and see. Rain, though, has got considerably heavier, coming down in towards turn 1. Don't think it's full wets just yet, but if the rain continues at the same intensity, we might see drivers begin to switch on that full wet maybe before the end of the race.
Yeah, I think, of course, let's not forget, difference between the slicks and the intermediates much bigger than the difference between the intermediates and the full wets. So at this point of the race, he needed to start absolutely throwing it down probably in the next lap or two. for it to be worthwhile coming into the pits and putting on a set of the full wet tyres is as well. Also quite a long pit lane here at Paul Ricard, so that puts another thing into the equation. Zuidema just dropping back from Noof at the moment. Noof also dropping back from Jensen. Rudy, as things stand, 3.5 seconds behind Noof at the moment, so he would get third place. Lynx would also, I think, just jump ahead of Zuidema as well. That is a very close gap to maybe watch out for. Connor, he's got some decent pace at the moment. It's just getting stuck in that traffic early on, really ruining things for him, as that is Boss Wanted out of the race, and that is in the pit lane, so we don't have to worry about a safety car.
Yeah, Boss Wanted in pit lane retiring. He was just ahead of Basti coming into the pit lane. He has retired now the car from P14. So Boss Wanted out of the race. The first DNF, really, on lap 20 out of 27. Very good going by everyone, of course, out on track. Jensen leading the way, Nuth in second, Zedema in third. I will correct you, however, on something that I've just picked up on. Nuth has only got a 3-second penalty. Rudy is 3.6 seconds behind Nuth. At this moment in time, Rudy is not doing enough to try and pass Nuth in terms of the penalties. But, of course, you never know. Nuth might pick up another penalty, might go to 6 seconds, and then Rudy's within that 3-second range, basically, to try and get Nuth in towards turn one. That yellow flags are coming out, of course, out on track for Boss Wanted. His car leaving the pit lane. I really do not understand why cars are still not physically retiring in the pit lane as opposed to retiring out on track. It's a very, very big distraction, I think, for the drivers out on track. Jensen, though, leading the way, hasn't really pulled out the gap to Nuth. Nuth is hanging that stable at around 2.1 seconds. Zonema there in third, Rudy in fourth. And it just seems to me, Rudy, the time, as Chalkers goes for a 10-second penalty coming through turn 2, I think that was. Rudy, on the back of Zerdema, I think Rudy's beginning to lose time to Nuth.
Yeah, I think Rudy's chances of finishing second in this race completely depend on Zoidema's pace at this moment in time. He can't stay close enough to Zoidema to do anything at this moment in time. And Zoidema's just dropping back a 10th or 2 a lap from Nuth. And that means Rudy is dropping back a 10th or 2 a lap from Nuth. He's now nearly 4 seconds behind the Williams driver. You can see Lucas still pretty close to Lynx. The rain is absolutely teeming it down here. But you can just see there's not really a dry line. There's a few tyre tracks appearing. I wonder if we're going to need to see the blue wall tyres here as Luca almost thinks about a move on Lynx. If you're further down the order, I'd say it's worth a shot.
I definitely think it's worth a shot. I would say Daniel, 13th position, nothing to lose. You've got a lot of time over Basti in 13th position. Why not come in for a set of blue wall tyre, try and test out the waters and see if they're quicker than a set of Inters? Because if they're quicker, we're going to be seeing an Imola. We're going to be seeing, in TTML, like in TTML F2, it's actually Chalkers into the pit lane, so we might begin to see this now in terms of that. Is he going to come in and either retire the car, or is he going to come in for that blue wall tyre? There is standing water in the pit lane as well. I can spy on the right-hand side, just where, of course, the cars come in to the pit lane. As Smalley has ran coming out of the final corner. He's got right side end plate damage on the car, so he's obviously spun. Chalkers is in for that blue wall tyre. And now we will begin to see, because as long as Basti is not a lap ahead of Chalkers, which he won't be, Chalkers is a minute behind Basti. This will be the biggest indication of whether it is full wet or if it is Inters. At this moment in time, coming through turn 1 and 2, just about Inters, I would say.
Yeah, and it's not only that, you've got to have in your back of your mind, you're talking about a 3 or 4 second delta at least here.
Oh, Rudy!
Yeah,
side by side with Zerdema. Down the inside line to turn 8. Lovely move. That was unexpected. Rudy threw into P3.
I think Zerdema just made a mistake. He's now nearly 5 seconds behind the back of Nuth. They're really starting to struggle. Smalley got a time penalty there. Plenty of others did. It's only Jensen, Rudy, Lynx and Funky Chicken. Give yourselves a pat on the back, friends. You have kept it nice and clean at the moment. Chalkers is just losing a tiny bit of time, but I'm not sure whether that is, no disrespect, time that Chalkers is losing to Basti, or whether that is for tyres at the moment. Bunty gets ahead of Smalley as well. Will anyone? I can't see anyone high up coming into the pits, just because you're going to lose so much time. It is the wrong move. I think even if you're Luca at the moment, if he comes into the pits now, he'd come out maybe around about where Daniel is. So I don't think it's going to be worth any of these front guys going. And Chalkers is not really setting the timing boards alight. He's lost about a second or two on this lap for Basti, but that can very easily change as we go on to the final 5.
Yeah, I'm just flicking through everyone. Fleddy ran out wide there. I thought he was coming into the pit lane, but he isn't. Funky Chicken stays out. Bunty as well stays out. There's a spinner through the final sector. That is Daniel that is round in P13. You know, you may as well come in, throw us at a full wet. I mean, he's trying to channel his own track limits there. and rightfully deserves a 10-second penalty. Smalley's into pit lane, of course, after picking up that damage. Daniel, though, stays out interestingly. He's still on that set of inters. Chalkers has lost a second, and Basti is round, coming out of turn number 10. Lost it on the exit of turn 10. Luckily for him, it's only the polystyrene board that gets taken out as a result. Smalley is into the pit lane, front wing change. He's on a set of full wets. Why not? I think Chalkers now is gaining time on Basti. Of course, Basti has just spun, but I think Chalkers is gaining time now on Basti. We're at the crossover period between inters and full wets.
There's also the fact that the intermediates might be the faster tyre right now, but the wets will be slightly more forgiving on the standing water if you run it offline. The intermediates are going to have to drive them like you're on rails at the moment, because if you go off where the grip is, you could find yourself very easily spinning around. Jensen and Noof are doing a fantastic job at this moment in time. They're now 5 seconds ahead of Rudy. Zoidem is starting to drop into the clutches of Lynx and Luca as well. I think all the front runners are pretty much committed until going to the end of this race on a set of the intermediate tyres. Basti's now coming out on a set of the full wets. I think we're only going to see drivers coming for wet tyres if they pick up damage.
Yeah, really, definitely so. Connor picked up a 3-second penalty there as well. He ran wide coming through final couple of corners. There's another spinner out on track. It's Funky... No, it's not Funky Chick. It's Chalkers, I think, that has gone around coming through the middle sector. Jensen's still leading the way. 2.7 seconds over Noob. Goodness me, I swallow on a fly. Rudy there in third. Zerda in fourth. Lynx and Luca there fifth and sixth, and they're doing a fantastic job. Connor as well, doing a fantastic job. He's closing in on the likes of Lynx and Luca. They're all now embroiled within the DRS train. Rudy's still in third. Zerda fourth. Lynx and Luca still in that battle, and now it looks like Lynx could try the switchback coming out of turn 6. You can see, though, a lot of standing water now out on track.
Yeah, I think that's it. If you go offline, you're pretty much getting yourself in a sailing boat. You're going to need a catamaran rather than a Mercedes. If you head offline, Zoidema just catches the curb, though, and this might be the opportunity. Lynx needs to send one down the inside. He's not got a lot of ERS here, so as Zoidema got the grip on the racing line to send it all the way around the outside. Oh, there's contact between the two of them. Zoidema flies off. Massive accident somehow. My goodness me, how on earth did that not end up retiring the car?
That is unbelievable. I think he's stuck on the barrier as well. But my God, he's got rear wing damage. There's no shadow of a doubt about that. And if it's only the tire that took the limit, I mean, a 10-second time penalty is just a little bit, well, unforgiving, I think, from the game more than anything else. He is staying off track, luckily, and he is going to let Fledio through, I think, down in towards turn 10, and he has got damage on the rear wing. Certainly, Zerdeman now, down in P9, hopping over the curb, might have suspension damage now, pretty much out of contention. So unfortunate, he gets another 10-second penalty. Luca dives it on Lynx, and Lynx actually might have made a mistake coming out of turn 12 and 13, and Luca now through, and he's into P4. Funky Chicken, of course, through, and he's into P9 as well. 3 laps to go. It's getting a bit like a war of attrition now out on track. Smalley still gaining time as well on Daniel further down the field. It's not like the sort of Imola time that we saw Neymar do in TTML F2, where he finished in 6th position, and obviously was like 8 seconds quicker on that set of full wet. Everyone, I think, on their set of inters have timed it right. Jensen, Nuth, Rudy, still the top 3. And at this stage, Rudy... Is Jensen going to wrap up the championship? I don't think he is.
I think he is. I thought he just needed a podium.
Oh, yeah.
To wrap up the championship.
The other way round.
It looks like he's going to do it at the moment. Chalkers gets a penalty for coming into the pit lane. He's wiped out the other polystyrene board coming out of turn 10, the one that Bastille left behind. Chalkers decided to finish the job, so I think we've pretty much a lot of sweeping up for the mechanics to do later on in the marshals. A lot of tidying up to do around here. I'd love, if unfortunately we don't have it, I'd love it if we could have had a replay of what happened there with Lynx and Zoidema. I can only imagine there's a bit of convergence as they got to the braking zone. Zoidema is still going around in 11th place at the moment. 25 seconds of penalties. He's going to get 20 of them removed, but Daniel might get some of his removed. And I think Chalkers, that is a record. I have never seen 46 seconds on the F1 game.
46 seconds on the F1 game. There is another spinner. Chalkers is round again, coming through turn 1 and 2. But Chalkers now, set of inters on for him, and he goes for a spin again, and he's overheated the tyres, and that is pretty much his race. If not run, it's definitely run now. Jensen leading the way, 3.1 seconds over Nuth. Rudy really losing time in these conditions, but Jensen now becoming the dominant force and is just moments away from wrapping up the TTML F1 Championship. I got confused. I thought it was Rudy having to outscore Jensen. It's Jensen, of course, having to outscore Rudy by 10 points. And if he does that, of course, he does wrap up the championship. If it's the other way around, Rudy, of course, will still have a play in the championship fight going into Mexico. Jensen, though, leading the way. Knut there in second, Rudy in third. And Jensen is pretty much around just under 10 kilometers away from wrapping up the TTML F1 Drivers' Championship.
And it's a well-deserved title. I mean, his only race he's failed to get a podium at was the Russian Grand Prix. And also, I suppose you could count the sprint race at Imola as well. This will be his 6th win out of 8, 7th podium. He's had 3 pole positions, fastest lap in 4 of the races as well. It's going to be Zoidema who gets that bonus point for a fastest lap here. It's been an absolutely dominant championship from Jensen. Yes, you can say he's the fastest driver in the field. He's been by far the most consistent, though.
Yeah, definitely so. I think even, as Chalkers has been disqualified from the session for receiving multiple penalties, as if his race didn't get any worse than that. It hasn't even got worse now, because he's out of the race. He's been disqualified from the race, and it's only the second time that has happened this week, of course. Lewis Rocks in the sprint race in TTML F2 got disqualified, and now Chalkers right down the back of the field. He's been disqualified from the race. Jensen leading the way, 2.9 seconds. He is now pretty much, you could say, on his lap of honour. As long as he doesn't pick up a puncture, as the rain really begins to ease off on the final lap here, Jensen is only 5.8 kilometres away from the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, and of course, 5.8 kilometres away from wrapping up the Constructors' Championship for McLaren. I think even if he finishes the race and Rudy had a retirement here, that might be enough for McLaren to wrap it up. They've done a superb job as well. Rudy, barring an absolute miracle like Noof getting another penalty, he's going to finish in 3rd place. Even after that penalties, Luke has completely pulled away from Lynx as well, so he's going to score 4th, I believe. Just quickly check the penalties. Got to say, Connor's put on a marvellous job on this set of the intermediate tyres. He's going to be within a second of Lynx at the end of the race. Yes, he's got a lot of penalties, but they're not going to lose him any positions because he was about 8 to 9 seconds behind Lynx earlier on. He's now all over the back of him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he actually manages to overtake him.
Yeah, Connor really closing in. I think Lynx is struggling in terms of his traction. You can really see him closing now down, a second away. I don't think he's going to be close enough possibly to take it on track, but Jensen is only 1 sector away from here, wrapping up the TTML F1 Drivers' Championship and also the TTML F1 Constructors' Championship. Rudy is going to be hanging on to 3rd. If Nuth picks up another penalty, it could fling a 1-2 to McLaren. 6.5 seconds of the gap between them both. But Jensen now coming through turn 12 for the final time. He will want to see the back of France, I think, after this one, because it's been an absolute dominant race from following on from the likes of Harry Banks last season in TTML F1. We are going to be going British again in terms of the championship victory, but this time it is for the first time a Shazoo man that is going to be on the top step of the podium here in TTML F1. Jensen on the run to the line is the TTML F1 Drivers' Champion. Nuth in the end in second, chased him down all the way, drove a fantastic race, finishes there in finishes in second, Rudy there in third, hangs on from Luca closing up on the end, and Connor has got past Lynx through the final corner, and Connor is through and he's into P5. But of course, Lynx with the penalty stays there in that position. Connor will finish in 6th. But your TTML F1 Drivers' Champion is Jensen, and it is totally well deserved.
Yeah, he just seems to be able to kick on in the second half of races and just do a brilliant job. Kept it clean on the penalties as well. Not as though that really mattered. An absolutely supreme victory. Zoidema, he just comes across the line with an unserved penalty. 11th place. Expect to see him get a few of those penalties removed. Jensen, superb job as well. And let's not forget, 3rd place for Rudy helps McLaren secure the Constructors' Championship. As good as Jensen's been, Rudy's done a fantastic job. He's 2nd in the championships as well, but Rudy hasn't had the consistency. Connor as well, Tom, who's unfortunately left. They've all shown pace on occasion, but we've not been able to show it week after week after week, and that is why Jensen is your Season 6 champion with 2 rounds remaining.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. I've got to give credit to Jensen. He has been an absolute class above the rest in this field so far in TTML F1, and it's another victory for him in France. Smalley, by the way, coming across the line. I don't think he might even reach the line at this stage. He is going to reach the line eventually. He might just reverse backwards to make sure he gets there across the line. He does. Smalley does finish there in PU. I think it was 13 or 14. I think he's picked up there in the end. But Jensen wrapping up the Constructors Championship, wrapping up the TTML F1 Drivers Championship. Connor gets Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans, but surely it's only got to go to one man again.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for counting Driver of the Day as across the sprint race as well. Who else can we argue? Jensen, superb job. Took the 10 points in the sprint race, took the win in that main race as well. Didn't all look likely at one point. He was third, let's not forget, on lap 1, and nearly ended up dropping down into 4th place, but managed to work his way ahead of both Rudy and Noof when they started making a bit of contact. And then as soon as the intermediate tyres came on, just consistently pulled it away. A 10th or 2 a lap. Well-deserved winner, and yeah, I agree, has to be Driver of the Day.
Driver of the Day, indeed, but we'll run through for the third last time here in TTML F1 this season. Jensen has wrapped up the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship for McLaren, and Jensen has won here in France. Nuth there in second, drove really well, took the pace to Jensen, and given that the lap times are only a 10th of a second off each other, I think it just comes to show the consistency of the top two, and also with Rudy finishing there in third. Luca in the end finishing in 4th, drove very well. Lynx in 5th, Connor in 6th, Funky Chicken in 7th, Black Box in 8th, Fleddy ran off the top 9 along with Bunty ran off the top 10. And then, running down the rest of the field, of course, Zernimer in 11th, 25 seconds worth of penalties. 20 of those, of course, but for 10-second penalties. I'm sure he will get those removed. Daniel there in 12th, Smalley 13th, Bastian 14th. Chalkers and Boss wanted the only two not to finish the race here. Chalkers got disqualified 44 seconds worth of penalties, and I don't think I've ever seen such a big penalties pick up as that.
Yeah, like agreed. I've never seen it get to that number. I'm very surprised that it did do. But yeah, let's not talk about what happened to Chalk, because I don't think he'll want to talk about that. Let's talk about the main man, Jensen, Season 6 champion, another dominant performance, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from him and the rest of the top 3 soon.
Yeah, definitely so. But I can see them now joining in. It is with great pleasure that I can announce, Shazoo Jensen, you are the TTML F1 Drivers Champion. How good must that feel? If he's there. He isn't there. What is going on?
Oh, we seem to be having a few technical difficulties, unfortunately. Just wait and see if we can get that fixed for you guys, and then we'll be able to get the interviews. We might have to end up doing what we did last week and hopping in the waiting room and then interviewing everyone in there, because that did seem to fix it last time around. Possibly
so, but hopefully Jensen hasn't gone running scared at my question there in terms of picking up the Drivers' Championship. I'm sure we will get to interview him very soon indeed. I know Nuth is already here as well, and I know Rudy was here. Both of them, I think, were having a bit of disconnection problems there within the comms box, so hopefully we might get across the waiting room and put the interviews in. While we do that, of course, I can whet the appetite for you a little bit even further on TTML this week. Of course, tomorrow it is the season finale of CWC, F1 and F2 live, of course, at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m, I think, UK times, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, Tuesday, TTML GT. If you do want to see Mr. Luke Etheridge pick up another win this season, who knows what might happen in TTML GT on Tuesday. We hopefully will be running both races of EML Premier Challenge Cup, Austria and Bahrain. Hopefully going to be the two that we're going to be having racing for you, of course, on Wednesday night, picking up the cash prize, of course, 10 teams fighting out for that championship. And we're back to TTML once again. Thursday, TTML F2, as we take in the Mexican Grand Prix for F2 and F3, and then F4 and F5, of course, on Friday. And then we're back once again on a Sunday.
Yeah, back on a Sunday, final 2 races, Mexico and Singapore. Sure to be, but Mexico always producing good races. Singapore, as close to an endurance race as we'll get on the F1 game, as we are just hearing they are having a few bit of problems. So I'm going to drag James over to the waiting room, and then Noof, and then I'm going to follow them, and hopefully we can get some interviews underway.
I'm already in the waiting room.
Just like magic.
Just like magic. That was very, very swift, I think. Nobody saw that on the YouTube stream, luckily. Hopefully Jensen might be able to join. And actually, he has joined now. And hopefully he'll be able to hear us now. Jensen, it is with great pleasure to announce you are the TTML F1 Drivers' Champion for Season 6. Talk us through that race. And more importantly, talk us through the championship win.
Yeah, thank you. It was quite an interesting. It was quite the fun night of racing, the sprint and the feature race. But yeah, very happy to win the championship. Of course, been building up to it. I knew it was coming anytime anyway, but yeah, tried to get it done today, and yeah, put in the performance, and yeah.
You're a bit speechless, to be honest.
I don't know what to say about it really. It's like, yeah.
This is mostly.
Yeah.
This honestly sounds like.
Me.
Yeah, I was going to say, this honestly sounds like the most deserved championship win, but the most undeserving success, I think, in terms of the championship win, with how you're coming across, of course. Of course, there is a few bugs maybe happening in terms of the voice chat here within Discord. But talk us through that race, Jensen, because it didn't go according to plan in the first lap especially.
Yeah, I didn't get a great start, and yeah, just dropped off the line really, and fell behind my teammate. And I tried going for a move on the outside into the chicane, turn 3 and 4, but I got the braking a bit wrong, so I had to take off track and try and slow down to like not pick up a penalty and not get an illegal pass. And in the end, Noof got by in that one, and yeah, just tried hanging around. And when my teammate Rudy right close to the guy's head, or right close to Rudy, no, Noof ahead, yeah, I just used my energy, tried to pressure them into an overtake, because every time they did it, they made a little bit of contact each time, and it might give me an opportunity. And in the end, I managed to get around the outside of Noof and take the second place, and got past Rudy and held on to it until the right time for the inters, and then until that, from that point on, it was pretty much straightforward one. But yeah.
Was a case like Canada last week, where obviously the first half of the race you were fighting with Rudy and the likes last week, and again it was the similar case I think this week, and then you just started to dominate on the rest of the field and eventually picking up the win by 6 seconds. I'm going to come across to Luke though. Luke, any questions?
Yeah, congratulations obviously Jensen on taking the championship. Just talk us through that sprint race, because you were one of the few drivers in the top 10 to start on a set of mediums. Were you regretting that at the end of lap 1, as it seemed like you were really struggling for the first 2 laps?
I mean, I was looking at the gap ahead, and I didn't really regret it at all, because I was keeping right close to him, not much of a gap, but I was trying to like go as further as possible on the medium, so I don't have to go as long on the softs. And it was quite fun, the overtakes and everything. And when I got to Rudy, got by, and he just about hang on the DRS. When I got to 9/10, and I was just trying to build some energy so I could just about keep ahead on the final lap, because I knew I was gaining in sector 1, and on X it was like 7/10, and yeah, I was pretty much knew I was just about safe there. But then he came back on the overrun after the chicane, and I tried just defending the inside line. He was all over my rear. I tried taking the defensive lines to keep a position. In the end, he didn't make it in the final corner, so yeah, just about hang on. But it was a great battle between me and him. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, certainly was fantastic to watch the battles throughout the sprint and the main race. Congratulations once again on the championship. I'll hand you back over to James.
As always, final question from me, Jensen. Mexican Grand Prix next week. How do you think you're going to get on? Of course, you've wrapped up the championship now. Are you going to try last the first challenge?
Don't know. Might do. See how it is. Mexico is a fun one. Gonna be a lot of penalties. But yeah, just have a fun last 2 races. Yeah, just I don't know if the constructors is wrapped up or not, but I think me and Rudy should have it in the bag anyway, if it hasn't already. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can confirm that McLaren have wrapped up the Constructors' Champions. I think, obviously, you outscored both Mercedes in the race as well. So, you are Constructors' Champions as well. So, massive congratulations from everyone. And that, of course, I think is Rudy in the background just shouting that. Sue in the background.
That was
Oh, that was you in the background. Goodness me. Apologies to Rudy there. But Jensen, go and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, cheers and thanks for the commentary as always.
You are very welcome indeed. We'll now move on to the man, of course, who finished in P2. It's TTG Nuff. And Nuff, of course, fantastic pace, I've got to say, tonight. You carved your way through the field in the sprint race. Feature race, of course, you drove fantastically well. Obviously, only 3 seconds behind Jensen coming across the line. Talk us through it, because obviously I think this is your first podium all season.
Yeah, finally. Always had bad luck in previous races in TTML, so it was a big relief to finally get a good result. I tried to somehow win in the main race, but it just wasn't possible. Either way, Rudy would have got me at some point, and if not, then they pretty much had it in the back with them. I don't know if they worked together or if Jensen just pushed him to the limit, but it was always in my mind that if they both get out of me, then it's pretty much over. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened then. But yeah, other than that, I'm really happy with my result. Of course, in the sprint race, the old stretch is quite overpowered again, and I used that to my advantage. And yeah, I was pretty happy at the end of the day with the result, because I think it was the maximum that I could have gotten out of it.
Yeah, it was definitely the maximum you could have got out of it. I've got to say, it's your best race all season, even from the Imola sprint race, but of course you picked up a podium there. I think this has probably been your best race all season. Just talk us through that race as well, especially the changeable conditions around halfway through the race. Were you always expecting that threat of rain?
Yeah, and it was a bit difficult because it was like 7 or 8 laps to go. It was getting quite heavy to the point where you could think about going onto the wets, but then again, the pit stop in France is way too long, and you basically don't gain anything, like maybe a second or two on the wets, so it really wasn't worth it to pit at that point. But yeah, that meant 7 laps on intermediates in wet conditions, so that was a lot of fun. I always enjoy wet weather races, and yeah, I think it came pretty much to the at the perfect time, just because, well, the two McLarens obviously had to pit on different laps, so they don't hold up each other, and that pretty much sealed the deal for P2 for me.
Yeah, definitely. P2, I think, obviously your best result of the season by an absolute mile. Congratulations, of course, on the result. Luke, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
Yeah, congratulations on 2 podiums today. You got 3rd in the sprint race here. You got 4th in the sprint race at Imola. You really seem to enjoy the sprint weekends. Is there anything particular about the format that you think suits you better?
I think it's actually not really about me, but more about others being a bit more aggressive in the sprint race compared to a 50% race where basically everything just is a bit more calm until the last few laps. And in the sprint race, you basically have to make your moves relatively early. And I think that suits me quite well because I'm generally a pretty consistent driver. And especially on the alternative strategy, that's kind of my thing. It wasn't on purpose. I just spun in the quali, and yeah, I think, like I said, that suits me pretty well, both with a shorter race that everyone is a bit more aggressive, and also on the alternative strategy today.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to work for you. Congratulations on your first podium of the season. I'll hand you back over to James.
Yeah, final question from me, Nuff. Of course, Mexico next week. How do you rate your expectations going into there?
I like Mexico a lot. I don't know if I quite have the pace for the front, but I'm gonna try again, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, obviously Mexico, fantastic track. Hopefully you might get a very similar result as we saw tonight in both the sprint and the feature race. Go and enjoy your evening, Nuff. And we'll now move on to the man, of course, who finished in P3, and that, of course, was Rudy. And Rudy, of course, one half of the TTML F1 Season 6 Constructors Champions. It was a bit tight, though, in the feature race, of course. Was it always your intention to try and push your teammate to the absolute limit, to try and find some sort of mistake out of him?
Yeah, I definitely was trying to force him into a mistake. I didn't want him to overtake, to be honest, because I knew he would probably have more pace than I had, and that showed in the end. Because I realized when the rain was trying to drop, he was pushing, and I was trying to stay with him, but I realized I wasn't going to be able to overtake him, so I had to go a lap earlier on the intermediate, which in the end for me was the right call, because otherwise I would have lost a lot more time. But yeah, it wasn't ideal, of course. I mean, I jumped him off the line, then he got overtaken by Nuve as well. That helped me quite a bit. Then I was hoping he would stay back, because I knew he would probably be the faster out of the three of us. So yeah, but he overtook us, and then in the end he just had a better pace, and yeah, just drove away.
Yeah, he drove away from you, but I've got to say, you stuck it really to the back of nothing, both Jensen. And of course, we saw that little 3 wide scenario nearly coming out of turn 9 on the run up towards turn 10. Were you always going to try and box in Jensen as well in that move?
Yeah, definitely. Coming out of the chicane, I saw Nuve was going to the right of the track, and I was trying to box him in. Was trying to box Jensen in so he couldn't overtake. But then Nuve came back to the left to open up his corner, so that didn't work in the end. I was trying, because it was just pretty much impossible for me to stay ahead there, because I had to box in Jensen to make the move. But yeah, then Nuve came back to the left, so there was no point in me trying to overtake. But yeah, he just played it out pretty well.
Yeah, certainly a very good battle to watch, I think, between you three. Luke, I'm going to come across to you. Any questions?
No questions from me. Just congratulations on claiming the Constructors' Championship, Rudy.
Yeah, cheers.
And final question from me, Rudy, before you go. Mexico next week. How do you think you're going to get on?
I think I should be able to have a pretty good race. Hopefully, can start at the front again. No, I know I'm normally not one to pick up a lot of penalties, so that's definitely a good thing for me. And we'll see if Jensen maybe starts from the back. We might have a chance. That'd be good. So probably gonna have a good race there. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course, it'll be a fantastic race, I think, in Mexico next week. But go and enjoy evening, and maybe even crack open a cold one, because you wrap up the Constructors' Championship.
Cheers.
And that marks the end of the interview. So thank you very much, of course, to Jensen, Nuff, and Rudy for partaking in our interviews tonight. And that wraps up neatly the TTML F1 stream for tonight. Of course, if you did enjoy the stream, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course. If you are new, we'll be back, of course, next week, same time, same place, TTML F1, Sunday night, 7 p.m. More action to come throughout the week, of course, the likes of TTML GT. Hopefully, Luke Etheridge is not going to bottle it at the next track. And then, of course, EML Premier Challenge Cup on Wednesday, being a highlight, of course, of the week, with the 10 teams still fighting out, of course. And I think we said at the end of the Wednesday stream, IFO actually leading the championship. ET8 and TF10 now, first and second. IFO now third in that, so it's going to be very interesting to see how things get on. Luke, though, as always, I'm going to leave the final words to you. Your final thoughts on the race, and, of course, driver of the day.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious driver of the day. We said before we've got to go for Jensen. Just a superb performance all day. Yeah, absolutely fantastic racing from him. Just seems to have the edge over everyone in normal conditions, and then when it gets to intermediates, he's unstoppable.
Yeah, unstoppable indeed, and hopefully might be able to carry on, of course, if he does sign up for Season 7, of course, next season here in TTML F1. That is the end of the live stream, though. We really hope you enjoyed it. And, as always, I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.